to Shankar, so we are working on two sectors are here, automotive and health and nutrition. We work for RNG. How do you see the future of sector specific? Because there are multiple sectors, and there are often this question that how should we plan it to make sector specific guidelines? What's the way forward? As a closing comment, I would say a little more explanation as well.
Yeah. So thanks for asking such easy questions, Garima. I think an interesting model is what we're doing with the automotive sector, because we have folks like Vinny in the room representing the sector, and I think that's very important. We didn't succeed in doing that very well when we came to the R&D sector. So I think, see, in an ideal world, so if you're asking me what's the ideal world, I would say that in the ideal world, industry associations should be ones taking the lead and saying, okay, here is the NCRBC, I'm going to go and make an application. So the role for institutions like IICA is first to advocate to these industry associations, look, you need to create your own. Because to me, it's like everybody says nothing survives in a vacuum. If you don't create your own, someone else is going to create it for you. So you might as well create your own. And we as IICA, since we have the expertise, we have the understanding, we have the convening ability to get people together, we will support, we will facilitate, but you have to do it, because only when they do it will they own. And I think that ownership is absolutely critical. So I think the two key actors in this is, one is the ministry, of course, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, because it has to seed this idea both with the relevant ministries for those sectors, as well as have those conversations with those industry associations. So the MCA has a very important role to play. The industry associations, of course, themselves, and IICA as someone who can convene and put all this together. If you can, you have a magic wand, Garima, I know that. So if you can just swish that around and make this happen, you have the answer.
Believe me, that was the toughest question, which is easiest for him because he has been championing it. Right, so again, coming back to Vinny, we have been talking since yesterday about MSME. And MSME in automotive is somewhere very complex and diverse. So what do you feel are the practical barriers for this automotive sector companies to adopt ESG practices considering the presence of MSME?
I don't think so. There's anything very special about the MSMEs in the automotive. The MSMEs across the board have the same set of challenges. They have access to capital, they have access to resource, they have access to technology, and their willingness to do something good. Okay, somebody may take this as a pinch of the willingness part, but the rest is all pretty common. When Tarun Ujjwal, he was speaking about nutrition, an interesting anecdote came to my mind in how we sometimes emotionally blackmail smaller companies to do the good. So, and I don't mean any offense to anybody. We have a very small company in Jamshedpur, it's probably 3 crore in turnover, has about 50 laborers engaged in it. The proprietor is a Sardarji. So we were making quality interventions, and then one fine day he was chatting with me, and I said, Ranjot, do you serve lunch to your people? He said, no, we don't. I said, look, Sardars are so generous, they do langar. Why can't you do it every single day? You guys throw it open for everybody. Believe you me, on his father's death anniversary, he started langar for the employees, and every single day it continues because it's in the name of his father and it's a langar. So you have to sort of, find ways and means. There is nothing, no prescription. We have to adopt Indian means and ways to get things delivered. But on the other hand of the spectrum, you see the automotive and the auto component industry was so generous during the pandemic when people migrant laborers were walking home. We had thrown our kitchens open, our factory kitchens open to anybody who walked in. So, you know, I mean, the spectrum is too wide. There are various actors across the spectrum, good, bad, ugly. But as I said, we have to be at it to make the ugly better good and the good better. So, that's how it will be. It's a long, long journey. Yeah.
Can I just very quickly come on the MSME question, and I think it was good. I agree with his response in terms of getting, because these are the challenges that MSMEs are facing. But one of the things that, and you would be familiar also very well with the RNG sector guideline, is you want to get the buyers also to be part of the solution. If you talk to anyone in a value chain, in a supply chain, one of the things they say is, speak to my buyer and allow me time, allow me, I mean, some things in the short term cost money. So you can't be saying you have to deliver on time, you have to give it the cheapest thing, but you also have to do this. I think somewhere something has to give, and I think we need to get all the parties on the table for something like this to sort of work, which is why, when we're doing these guidelines for you and the IMA folks to be there, becomes very important.
I just want to add what Shankar has said, extremely relevant, and at the end of the day, if you're able to show a business case, people beeline for it. See, we are a hugely export competitive industry. We export 30% of what we produce. And today I have a beeline for companies wanting solutions for decarbonization, because European Union is our single largest export market. Okay? So there has to be a business case, and touch wood, we are a growing industry. We continue to grow well. So therefore there is money in the system that allows us to make interventions. I mean, in last 10 years, ACMA has helped 1,400 companies become world class. I'm talking about the shop floor production systems. And I'm very confident if we work with like-minded people, we can help many more on the BRSR front also. So, I mean, from our leadership perspective, we're extremely committed to, uplift the industry. Yeah.
Thank you. And that, your example of this langar providing food, yeah, that takes me again to Greg at me. Greg, if you can share your experience, particularly with other countries, to improve their capacity to measure the healthiness, because providing food is one.
Foods, many of us are consuming them, and we need to make sure they're healthier. If you go into any modern food retail outlet around the world, on average, you're going to have about 60% unhealthy foods, 40% healthy. And we've worked in a number of countries to try to improve that. And we've seen some real changes, not only in terms of measuring the healthiness of those food products, but also making them healthier over time. So this week, and I'm excited to share with you the work we've been doing in Kenya and in Tanzania. We launched back-to-back in those two countries an assessment of the urban food environment, urban and peri-urban. So I'll dive into Kenya, because I think what we've done there is something that we would like to do in other countries, including in India, where we have run 2 Indian indexes in the past. So we did the first ever independent assessment of the Kenyan food products in urban settings. We looked at about 800 products, which is 57% of the formal packaged food and beverage industry. Now, we firstly looked at Health Star rating, which is an international way of ranking foods that was developed in Australia. And based on that ranking, 33% of those foods were defined as healthy. They hit a healthy threshold, so the rest were not. But then we used the Kenya draft nutrient profile model, which is going to be legislated. And based on that nutrient profile model, 90% of products will attract a warning label in Kenya. And what this did for the government is for the first time showed that, well, one, how that nutrient profile model can be used in real world settings. 2, it gives them information on whether or not they want to keep the thresholds in place so that indeed 90% would attract a warning label. It allows them to refine that model. And there in India, we talk frequently with the FSSAI and other stakeholders who are looking at the Indian Nutrition Rating, INR. And of course, we would welcome the opportunity in the future to help roll that out in any way, support perhaps a study that looks at using the INR, the Indian Nutrition Rating Profiling System, on Indian products to see just how healthy and unhealthy those products are, and help companies and government and investors be able to look at where things are at any given time. We have a new online platform where all this data can be hosted, and we're also working with governments to make this available so that they can host this database. And then you can track over time and see progress towards healthier food portfolios, which I think is good for investors as well, especially long-term investors, asset managers, who want to make sure they're investing in a healthier future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that takes me to Tarun's last closing comment, particularly for nutritional challenges in informal workers in the supply chain. Just a closing comment, very brief.
Yeah, Garma, so I'll just give you 2-3 different examples. Our work in tea plantations, we found in India amongst food and dietary diversity was an issue. We worked quite extensively in the ready-made garment sector in Bangladesh. There it is undernutrition, and there is menstrual hygiene and menstrual health issues amongst the women workers. In construction, we found food hygiene and hydration is a big issue. So all we're saying is, as ESG metrics, companies, there are several self-assessment scorecards available on specific ESG risks. Companies should be encouraged that A, look at your workforce style, formal versus informal. Nature of work, sedentary versus physically intensive. And look at your work site conditions in terms of access to food, rest, sanitation, etc. And therefore there are so many resources available. And I just, we were talking about looking at the whole buying cycle of buyers. A very interesting example, we partnered with the Ethical Tea Partnership globally. And they work and procure from smallholder farmers, tea plantations. Some are big companies, big-sized companies, and others are smallholders. So it is the ETP, Ethical Tea Partnership, worked with GAIN, and we ensured that we were standardizing certain workforce nutrition practices throughout the value chain system, so that the entire buyer supply chain sort of issue is quite significantly important. And that can lead the way in many different sectors.
Thank you. That's very helpful. So, since we have one more panel before the lunch, so I will stop it here. It was indeed a very enriching deliberation, and I just want to add here one thing what Shankar has said, that I greatly acknowledge the various stalwarts present in the room, including, I said it on the first day itself, that it was under the visionary leadership of Gyaneshwar sir from NCA that the School of Business Environment was born. I think that justifies many things. So thank you, sir, and thank you everyone for your patient listening. Please don't stand. We are beginning the next panel directly.
Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause. That was indeed a very outcome-oriented high-level panel scripting major work for all stakeholders. Our gratitude to each speaker for illuminating the linkages between workforce well-being and national development. We now request Dr. Garima Nadish to present a token of gratitude and felicitate our distinguished panelists. IICA extends its heartfelt gratitude to Ms. Michiko Miyamoto for her valuable insights and invaluable presence. Thank you, ma'am. Please join me As IIC extends its heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Praveen Kumar sir for being a guiding light throughout his tenure as DD CEO IICA and thereafter. Thank you, sir. IIC extends its heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Shankar Venkatesh sir for his valuable guidance in leading this initiative from the front. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Tarun Vilch for his valuable insights and gain for our continued collaboration. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Vinny Mehta for his presence and insights and ACMA for our continued committed association. IIC extends its heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Greg S. Garrett for his valuable insights and ACMA for our continued collaboration. Thank you, panelists, and we move on to our next high-level panel on aligning BRSR with global sustainability reporting frameworks, a session of critical importance as India deepens its commitment to transparent, credible, and globally aligned sustainability disclosures. Today's high-level panel brings together distinguished regulators, industry leaders, standard setters, and sustainability professionals, each at the forefront of shaping India's evolving ecosystem of ESG. We are really honored to begin this session with a keynote address from Sri Amarjeet Singh, full-time member, Security Exchange Board of India. With nearly 3 decades of distinguished service at SEBI, Sir has held a range of leadership roles, including heading the Market Regulation Department, Corporate Finance Department, Office of International Affairs, and Office of the Chairman. In his capacity at SEBI, Sri Singh oversees key functions such as the Investment Management Department, Market Intermediaries Regulation and Supervision, Investigations, International Affairs, and Human Resources. He has played a pivotal role in driving significant reforms in India's securities markets, including primary market modernization, the introduction of UPI and IPO payments, and the establishment of the Social Stock Exchange Framework. Internationally, he has been an active contributor to regulatory initiatives and served as SEBI's chairperson to the board of IOSCO, where he held the leadership position in the assessment committee. Sri Singh has been recognized with the Rotary Foundational Educational Award and the Joint Japan World Bank Graduate Scholarship. He has been representing SEBI in various committees of SEBI, RBI, and the Government of India. With a big round of applause, may I now request Sri Amarjeet Singh to deliver the keynote address. Thank you, sir. Very warm welcome from IICA. Requesting IT for the audio. Yes. Sir, we are not able to hear you yet. Sir, there's a you're muted. Can you please check, sir? Sir, I think we can hear you now.
Can you hear?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for your permission. Thank you.
Right. Good afternoon and thanks for this very kind introduction. It's a pleasure to be a part of this event, and I thank IICA for inviting me, and also my apologies for meeting in person today. I've had a chance to work with Mr. Ganeshwar Singh earlier when we were developing BRSR, so special thanks to him for inviting me to this occasion. And I'm aware IICA has been at the forefront of advocating for responsible business conduct, and this dialogue over the last 2 days which we've been having is very relevant and very timely. In my address this afternoon, I would like to first talk about the current state of play with respect to what SEBI has done in the area of sustainability disclosures. Then, I would like to touch upon my perspective on how we can align our sustainability reporting through BRSR with global standards. And thirdly, the final piece in my talk would be just to touch upon very briefly on emerging themes that are likely to shape the sustainability, particularly the disclosures landscape. So let me just set the context. Many of you are already aware about BRSR and also the BRSR code, but just to set the context, what exactly is BRSR? So as many of you would know, SEBI's journey in sustainability disclosures started way back in 2012 when we introduced a mandatory business responsibility reporting for top 100 companies, BRR it was called at that time. So let me fast forward. There were many developments in between, but in the interest of time, let me straightaway jump to 2021 when SEBI prescribed a new framework for ESG reporting called the Business Responsibility and Sustainability Report, or BRSR. So it's a quantitative and outcome-oriented reporting framework, and by developing the framework, we were cognizant that we have a different set of environmental and social challenges. Therefore, we have consciously followed a climate plus approach that includes reporting on quantitative social metrics. And I want to sort of underline that BRSR is homegrown. It is tailored to our unique domestic requirements and aligned with our national priorities. It was developed with exhaustive industry consultation. At the same time, I should point out that we also conducted a benchmarking exercise when we were developing BRSR with the then available international frameworks such as TCFD and GRI, and there are a number of commonalities between these frameworks and the BRSR. BRSR is applicable on a mandatory basis to the top 1,000 listed companies by market cap. Over 1,230 listed companies, that means more than the companies which were required to file their reports, they filed the BRSR for financial year 23-24. Let me talk a little bit about BRSR code. We are mindful that transparency without credibility can be counterproductive. Once you have the disclosures have to be credible, they have to be trustworthy. Number of stakeholders such as investors and ESG rating providers place reliance on the disclosures in the BRSR. At the same time, concerns around greenwashing, some discussion on the global developments and how they impact us. Globally, the sustainability reporting landscape is converging. The issuance of the IFRS Sustainability Disclosure Standards by ISSB, IFRS S1, which relates to sustainability related financial disclosures, and IFRS S2, which sets out specific climate related disclosures. This has resulted in consolidation of multiple reporting frameworks and reduced the fragmentation in this space. ISSB standards seek a significant level of detailed information, including forward-looking impact of sustainability and climate-related issues, scenario analysis, disclosure of Scope 3 greenhouse gas emissions, etc. As per the recent reports of ISSB, 36 jurisdictions have adopted or otherwise used the ISSB standards or are in the process of finalizing steps towards introducing them into their regulatory framework. So ISSB has given considerable flexibility in terms of the use or the potential use of S1 and S2. Currently, two new pillars, again, another set of global standards which have been developed recently. Two new pillars are shaping the credibility of sustainability reporting. In the beginning of this year, International Auditing and Assurance Standard Board, IAASB, and the International Ethics Standard Board for Accountants, IASPA, jointly launched the international standards on sustainability assurance, that is ISA 5000, and the international ethics standards for sustainability assurance, that is ISA, respectively. These standards are profession agnostic and framework neutral. That is, they can be applied in relation to sustainability information prepared under any suitable reporting framework. Let me now talk a little bit about alignment of, or the potential alignment of BRSR with global frameworks. At present, we are in good spot, we are in a neat spot with our indigenous framework BRSR, which is importantly calibrated to the needs of our economy. It has given an impetus to sustainability disclosures and has prepared our companies to confidently deal with challenges in the evolving sustainability disclosure landscape. It is worth noting that TCFD, that Task Force on Climate-Related Financial Disclosures, that formed the foundational basis for IFRS S2, which was issued by ISSB. And interestingly, SEBI had already benchmarked the BRSR against TCFD at the time of its formulation. As such, several common elements already exist between BRSR and the ISSB standards. So as a result, a degree of natural convergence already exists, placing Indian companies in a relatively stronger position to engage with global frameworks. While a common global language is ideal, it is important that flexibility to take into account country-specific circumstances is preserved in implementation of standards. Therefore, flexibility, proportionality, and a just transition supported by appropriate glide paths will remain critical in any movement towards fuller alignment of the BRSR with global standards. It is important to mention that SEBI has enabled, that was a part of our BRSR formulation. We have enabled interoperability of reporting, that is, entities that report on internationally accepted disclosure frameworks, they can cross-reference the disclosures to those which are sought under BRSR and need not duplicate reporting. Further, for companies which do not have the experience of reporting as per any international standards, the BRSR is an important first step for them to begin their journey on sustainability reporting. Let me now talk a little bit, very briefly, about several themes which are likely to shape the sustainability landscape in future. So first is, we can expect a greater increasing connectivity between financial and sustainability reporting. So this shift recognizes the interlinkage between the financial risks a company faces from ESG factors and the impact that it creates for the planet. So in some sense, a double materiality concept here. Second is, the credible transition planning will become essential. Third, the challenge of greenwashing will become more pronounced and regulators will need to scale up their oversight capabilities. Another related and important point related to the greenwashing aspect, the assurance ecosystem in India, including standards, I mentioned about IAASB and ISPA standards. The assurance ecosystem in India, including standards and a regulatory framework for oversight of assurance providers, will need to evolve to ensure credibility and independence in both reporting and assurance. The development of a common sustainability taxonomy, greater standardization of data, use of technology to improve reporting are some other key areas that will need to evolve as a sustainability ecosystem matures. So the journey will not be, there are a lot of things to be done, as you can see. The journey will not be without its challenges. In particular, and this kind of fascinates me all the time when I look at the developments, the fundamental tension between profitability and sustainability. There is a trade-off here between short-term gains over long-term survival and resilience. The short-term gains rewarded by the market are more visible. The market's emphasis on short-term gains must give way to a more nuanced understanding of value. Let me conclude, we are at a new frontier for capital markets where there is a push for companies to consider and report on risks and impacts that go beyond traditional accounting. We are making good progress and are aware that there will be a learning curve. Sustainability is a long-run travel. It will take many years, decades. The regulatory landscape in this space will continue to evolve. We need to be mindful that this evolution happens in a timely and proportional manner with appropriate glide paths and accompanied with capacity building. This is also a collective journey and a number of stakeholders, investors, companies, regulators, civil society will have to coordinate and collaborate in the shift towards more informed capital markets and more inclusive and sustainable economies that better serve our environment and society and of course the cause of Viksit Bharat. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much, sir. On behalf of DG and CEO Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs, we extend our heartfelt gratitude for taking out your time and addressing on this important issue. And we indeed look forward to welcome you in person in our upcoming events, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we have another keynote address from Ms. Helen Tran, Chief Executive, ACCA, the global body for professional accountants. Since taking up the role in 2008, Ms. Helen has led ACCA through a period of global growth, which has seen its membership double to more than 250,000. ACCA's diverse and inclusive community has expanded to cover 180 countries and also includes more than 500,000 future members. Ms. Helen is a passionate advocate of the role of accountants in driving an ethical, sustainable and inclusive approach to business and the public sector and is a frequent advocate on these issues at various events. She is a founding member of the International Integrated Reporting Council, IIRC, and played a role in its successor organizations. Ms. Helen is also a member of the UK Government's Professional and Business Services Council and has participated in a number of trade advisory forums and university advisory boards. In 2022, under India's leadership, she was a member of the B20 Task Force on the Future of Work, Skills and Mobility. In June 2023, she joined the board of the UK Asian Business Council. She was also awarded an OBE, the Queen's Birthday Honours List, in June 2011 for services to accountancy and received an honorary doctorate from the University of Exeter in December 2017. I request the team to play her message for the NCRBC 2025. Thank you.
Hello, it is my pleasure to share a message on this special occasion and to welcome all the guests, speakers and participants joining us today. I'm especially pleased because the theme of our conference goes right to the heart of what really matters to us all, as business leaders, as professionals and as citizens of the world. That's because smart, forward-thinking, responsible organisations know that the debate on the importance of the ESG agenda is over. They know that the only sustainable future lies in a new way of working, a new way of ordering our economic affairs, where the needs of people and planet matter as much as profit and loss. Now, our task is to build this philosophy into our strategies, processes and cultures to integrate it as our theme describes, so that we're equipped to grow sustainable businesses and economies that can survive and thrive through to the middle of the century and beyond. This theme, integrating ESG for Viksit Bharat, makes an important shift. I know that NCRBC 2025 aims to move beyond adoption to embedding ESG at the core of corporate strategy. The focus is on ensuring long-term resilience and aligned corporate purpose with India's vision of becoming a developed nation by 2047. ACCA is proud to serve as an international partner of this conference, and we seek to bring our global perspectives and to address key challenges aligned with this year's theme. ESG means so much more to business now than it did even a few short years ago. In a generation, it's moved from the fringes of what most investors and directors cared about, right to the centre of corporate concerns. We all operate in a new world where we are held accountable, and rightly so, for our impact on the environment and on society. It's no longer enough to make money, we have to make a difference. Business is about long-term value creation, not short-term sugar rushes of maximised return. Investors have wider horizons. They won't back businesses which don't recognise this truth. People won't work for them. Consumers won't spend their money with them. They lose the moral licence to continue existing. And in more concrete terms, they increasingly fall foul of more stringent regulations and legislation, as governments around the world increasingly add ESG measures to their national economic policies and plans. In this sense, ESG is just as much a business question as it is a moral or an ethical question, although it is all of them. It's an area that is vital for professional accountants, and it's an area where they can make an enormous contribution. ACCA is a pioneer and a leader in the global drive for sustainability reporting standards, which can sound like a dry subject, but nevertheless, the success or failure of internationally agreed actions on how we measure ESG results could be more important. It will decide whether our businesses, even our economic models, thrive or die in the years to come. At ACCA, an important part of our work in this arena is about supporting the role of the International Sustainability Standards Board in setting a consistent and comparable global baseline for sustainability reporting around the world. This is crucial because we know that the only road to a sustainable future runs through internationally agreed standards that are transparent, trusted, and supported all over the world. It's the only mechanism we have to ensure that investors and governments, regulators and consumers can find the accurate, reliable, relevant information they need when deciding who to support and who to trade with. The biggest threat to a sustainable future is a lack of information, misinformation, and greenwashing. Internationally agreed standards drive out the bad actors with verified and authoritative facts and data. ACCA has led and supported the move towards international standards on sustainability reporting for many years, and this is a major element